I'm going with Trayce Jackson-Davis with my first pick, rostered in 44% of leagues on Yahoo. He's been an interesting guy all year, kind of going in and out of the rotation, but he has been firmly in the rotation over the last 2 weeks. Double figures in 6 straight starts, or 6 straight appearances, 6 straight games. He's made 2 starts during that time, 7 boards, 1.8 blocks in 25 minutes per game. He's playing with 2 Hall of Fame point guards that are setting him up for easy buckets, great efficiency there. Defensive production is the key to like maintaining this strong stretch for him being fantasy viable, because he's not going to be a 25-point scorer or a 20 rebound guy. He's just not getting enough minutes for that. So as long as he's blocking multiple shots per game, he's going to have a bunch of value. He's playing 4 games next week, so there's value in there too. I think he's just like a really solid play to get you, 12 points, 8 boards, and a couple blocks to fill in for a missing starter like, say, Brandon Ingram.
Okay, Trayce Jackson-Davis also with 4 games next week for the Warriors. I'm going to go to Portland for my first pick. Cover guy of this video, Dalano Banton, backup guard. Portland with only 3 games next week, but check your playoff rules. I'm in 1 2-week playoff matchup on ESPN, for instance. Look, in Portland, Malcolm Brogdon done for the season. Frankly, don't know why they didn't trade him at the deadline. In the last 10 games, Banton, the former Celtic, is averaging almost 33 minutes a game. Over those last 10 games, over 17 points, almost 5 rebounds, almost 4 assists, 2.5 three-pointers, 1.4 stocks, a good free throw percentage, but a bad field goal percentage. Also, and I wonder about your opinion on this, Shannon, is Jeremy Grant done for the season in Portland? If so, a lot of shots for Banton. Grant has missed the last 5 games. He's doubtful for tonight. He's missed 8 of the last 10 games. What do you think, Shannon? Is Grant done?
It's certainly possible. Hamstring injuries are always tough. They always seem to last longer than you expect. If you tweak it, you can have a setback, which appears that's part of the deal with Grant. So it's certainly possible. The fact that they haven't came out, they're still basically listening and updating his injury status on a day-to-day basis, is at least somewhat encouraging. But it would not surprise me if he ends up sitting the rest of the season.
Anyway, we'll grant out a lot of shots for Dalano Banton. And with that, Shannon, take us to your first free agent pickup.
Yeah, this guy has been one of the favorites of the podcast over the past couple months. G.G. Jackson, forward for the Memphis Grizzlies, 45% rostered on Yahoo. Over the past week, he's been a top 25 player on a per-game basis. He's averaging 38 minutes per game, 25.3 points, 5.3 rebounds, 4.3 three-pointers, 52% from the floor, 88% from the free throw line, which is very encouraging over the past 3 games. Jackson, we've highlighted him in the past. Alex has ranted about his inefficiency from the floor. So I wouldn't believe that 52% mark is going to hold. Free throw or field goal percentage is still a concern for Jackson. Also, it's to be determined what his role is going to be once Vince Williams returns from injury. Jackson has been receiving spot starts, but let's see what happens with Memphis. I mean, their injury report varies on a day-to-day basis. I know for Friday's slate, most Bane and a few other guys are questionable, but Jackson has started 5 of the past 6 games. I think they will. I think they'll be interested in keeping him in the starting lineup for the rest of the season, just because it's hard to deny a guy on this team with their dearth of talent who's averaging 25 points per game. You got to let him roll.
Even if he comes off the bench, he'll be first guy off the bench and expected to gun as soon as he touches the ball. So he's going to score one way or the other. Tons of minutes available in Memphis, I think.
Staying in Memphis, going back to Memphis, I suppose. We went to Memphis, then we went back to New Orleans and back to Memphis. Someone can Google Maps that train ride for you. So I'm just going with Santi Aldama. Same reasons that Shannon said. There's a lot of moving parts in Memphis right now, and Aldama's taking advantage. He's been a regular on the injury report, so that's a little concerning. Sometimes questionable, sometimes probable. But he's been playing. He has only missed 1 of the last 10 games. over his last 9 games, 15 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 1.3 blocks, and 1 steal. Very efficient, 47-40, 65 shooting split, so that free throw percentage could be lacking. They only play 3 games next week, but there's a lot of opportunities, and I like Aldama's 3-point shooting for a big man.
I've always wanted Aldama to act like a young Rudy Gay, hitting threes, blocking shots on the Grizzlies. Not sure that'll ever happen, but anyway, in my little fantasy world. Okay, thank you, Kirien. And you're trying to sneak in the new guy, trying to do breaking the rules already. You got an extra regular pick.
Yeah, we'll go with Vasilije Micic. I hope I didn't
that's right.
destroy that too bad. We've been highlighting him on waiver wire articles for RotoWire. I've heard his name mentioned on the podcast a bunch of times, so this isn't anything new. But he's still only rostered in 30% of Yahoo leagues, and that should be up way more. People were afraid of Trey Mann returning, might send him back to the bench or whatever, but that really hasn't impacted him at all. 16 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, and a steal, 53, 36, 88 shooting splits. Those are really good numbers for a guy that is available in 70% of leagues. Go pick him up as soon as you can and just let him roll. There was a little bit of an adjustment period of him not shooting NBA threes. Just from like the eye test watching him, it seemed like he was used to the EuroLeague 3, and every time he was going to shoot the NBA 3, he kind of like paused for a little bit, but he's looking way smoother and super confident on the court. Go pick him up and reap the benefits.
All right, fantastic. Well said. We love Micic. We have discussed him a few times on the show. And I'm going to mention a repeat as well. Last year's cover guy, Jock Landale, reserve center for the Houston Rockets. Rockets have 4 games next week. Jock is coming off a 17-point, 12-rebound, 5 assists, and 2 blocks Thursday night in his win in the Rockets' win over the Bulls. He had 7 blocks, 7 versus Washington on Tuesday. Oh, may your fantasy teams always play Washington. I'm not sure he'll get 7 again, but that's a good sign. He's not starting, but he is averaging almost 24 minutes a contest over the last 5 games. Landale is rostered in only 18% of Yahoo leagues. Go grab him for 4 nice games next week. And with that, Shannon, who is your second regular pick?
I'm going to highlight 2 players here as well. Payton Pritchard, who we mentioned already, 22% rostered on Yahoo. He has been crushing it, receiving spot starts for the Celtics. Over the past week, he's played 3 games. On a per-game basis, he's been a top 40 player. In those 3 games, he is averaging 35 minutes, 18.7 points, 4 3-pointers, 4.3 rebounds, 7.7 assists while shooting 52% from the floor. And he has made every single free throw attempt over that stretch.
SPP, baby.
Lil PP is becoming a man right before our eyes. He's solid. He's solid pickup. He's solid in daily leagues. Like I mentioned earlier, daily leagues, pick him up now for the Friday matchup. It's a great matchup against Detroit. Weekly leagues, it just depends on, he's only got 3 games next week, so there's some caution there. But if you need a point guard bad, he'll be an option. The other guy, I had to go 2 here because the other guy we've discussed multiple times, and he's also dealing with an injury of his own right now. Simone Fontecchio, Tech 19, Detroit Pistons, 38% rostered. Fontecchio, he's got a toe injury. He's already been ruled out for Friday's game, but he has been a stud since joining the Pistons. Averages, per 36 averages of 18.4 points, 5.2 rebounds, 3.2 3-pointers, shooting 48% from the floor, 85% from the free throw line in 16 games since joining Detroit. Again, the toe injury already has him out for Friday, so it's more of a just keep an eye on him, or if you have a deep enough bench to stash an injured player, he would be a solid stash for next week. He is going to get an absurd amount of minutes as soon as he does return. Isaiah Stewart's out for the season. Asar Thompson's out for the season. Fontecchio is the guy that's going to see the biggest boost as soon as he is healthy.
Nice. All right, Kirien, who is your long shot?
All right, so my long shot, we're going to Cleveland. George Niang Evan Mobley, Max Strus, Dean Wade have all been out for extended time. They don't really have return timetables, so more opportunities for Niang coming. Donovan Mitchell has also been out. They said like a week after PRP injection. Those types of injections always like make me hesitant because like it's just kind of like it's not to like relieve, it's just to relieve the injury in like the short term. So it doesn't mean like just going to fix the issue like at all. So like he could still struggle. And there was a really concerning thing that Mitchell said before he got the injection. He's like 9 out of 10 times I would jump and I would be fully explosive or whatever. But that 10th time I would just have nothing. And for a player like Mitchell, that is like the key to his success. Obviously he's super talented, but whatever. So a lot of injuries. Niang has been.
And the good thing about George, he doesn't rely on athletic ability at all.
100%. But he can hit threes and he can get some boards. 52, 44, 100 shooting splits. So just like little PP, he doesn't miss his free throw line or his shots from the free throw line. He's sinking 2.8 threes per game, and he's got 4 games the next 2 weeks. So if you need threes, Niang is a great long shot opportunity. He's rostered in only 14% of Yahoo leagues right now.
The minivan's
that's BP.
The minivan is not always the most appealing ride, but you know what you're going to get, and it's somewhat comfortable.
Well put.
Exactly. Well said, both of you gentlemen. Thank you. My long shot, we're going to go to Washington. Guy had a nice revenge game last night. Center Richaun Holmes. Washington has 4 games next week. Are you desperate for center help? Holmes can help. He's now started 5 games for the woeful Wizards. Last 2 games, 9 points, 12.5 rebounds, 1.5 stocks. It's basically your old school big stats. He will get you 0 threes. I would not want to see him run the 40. But if you're desperate for help at center, he's only rostered in 10% of leagues because generally he stinks. But now is the time of year when people who stink suddenly get an absurd amount of minutes. That's coming for Holmes on that terrible Washington team. If you need some field goal percentage and rebounding, he's your guy. Shannon, who is your long shot? I see you're sticking with him despite last night's game.
I stress long shot. If you're going to suggest a waiver wire pickup, you always go with the guy who just is coming off a Tony Snell-like game. Keon Ellis, guard for the Sacramento Kings. He is a defensive maestro. He's been just blocking shots left and right, swiping balls. 20% rostered on Yahoo. He's been top 70, a top 70 player on a per game basis over the past week. Now, here's the funny part with that top 70. He's only averaging 4.5 points per game, but he is seeing 2 steals and 1.8 blocks in the past 4 games. He's received spot starts in 4 of the past 6 contests for the Kings. And he's likely to stick in that starting 5. You got Kevin Huerter's out with no timetable, but it sounds like it'll probably be a lengthy absence for Huerter. I like what Keon Ellis brings to the Kings starting lineup. And, there'll be games where he only plays 15 or 20 minutes because they need Monk's offense coming off the bench. But Keon Ellis, especially in the defensive categories, can give you a nice little boost if you're looking for a streamer.